So can you give examples of non-semantic elements and explain their use cases?
Okay, so basically non-semantic element in HTML are those type of element that does not convey any meaning about their content to both the browser and the developer. So basically
Yeah.
example of a non-semantic element is a div and a span. So these are the two examples of a non-semantic element.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically div is a block level element which is used to group together other element and content, and the use case of div include when we create a layout structure on a web page. And so when we talk about the span, so basically span is an inline element which is used to target the inline chunks of text, or can target an element without breaking the flow of other documents. So this is the example of non-semantic element and their use cases also.
Okay. Okay. So how do semantic elements benefit accessibility and SEO? Do you know?
Okay. Yeah. So basically semantic element in HTML provides both meaning and the structure to web development, and by clearly describing their purpose and the type of the content they contain, and they make more web page more accessible and SEO friendly. So basically when we talk about the accessibility, so semantic
Mhm.
elements like header, footer, nav bar, section, and article help screen readers and other technology understandable and the layout and organizations of the page. So basically this is how the semantic element help accessibility. And when we talk about how semantic element benefits SEO, so basically search engine use the semantic meaning of HTML tag to better understand of the content of the web page. So basically by using the good semantic tag, we provide search engine with more context about our content. So basically this is how semantic element benefit accessibility and SEO.
Okay. Okay. So moving forward, can you explain the concept of responsive web design and how it is implemented by using HTML and CSS?
Okay, so basically responsive web design is basically the approach to making the website looks good on any device. So whether it's a desktop or it is a table or a smartphone. So basically the main purpose of responsive web design is to make website look good. So the idea is to create the web page that automatically adjusts and automatically they can resize the shape or the content based on the screen and orientation. So basically this ensures that the users have good experience no matter how they access to the web. So this is how it's implemented by using the HTML and CSS. Yeah.
Okay, so do you know about box model in CSS and its components?
I actually know about the CSS model. So basically, the CSS model is a concept which is used to explain how every element of the web page is treated as a rectangular box. So how it affecting layout and design. So basically, it consists of four main components. So the first one is content. So basically, this is the actual content of the box where the text and images appear. And second one,
Okay.
it can be a padding. So basically the definition of padding is the space between the content and the border. So it's like the cushioning inside the box and increasing the space around the content inside the border. And the third one is basically border itself. So it is surrounded by padding and the content, which is called the border. And it's like the wall of the box, visually defining the box edges. And the last one is margin. So basically it's the space outside of the border. So it's like the distance between our box and the element. So it does not have the background color, so making it's transparent. So basically these components together determine the total size and the positioning of the element. So yeah, this is the box model and its CS and its component.
Okay. Okay. So how can you alter the box model by using CSS?
Basically, we can alter the box model CSS in more ways, but I know the three one actually. The first one I know only the box sizing. margin and
Okay.
padding. So we can actually, in box sizing, so basically the box sizing property let us control how the total size of the box is calculated. So by default it's set to the content box, so it means that the width and the height we set to apply to the content area, and padding and the border width are added to it, but if we change to the border box, so basically this is how we can alter the box model by using the CSS. And second thing, and we can also alter the box model by using the margin property. So by using the margin property it is used actually to control the space outside the border, and it affecting how close the element is to be and other element. So margin can be
Okay.
set for all side of the ones and
Mm.
can be set separately by using the margin. And we can also alter the box model by using the padding. So basically by adjusting the padding property to change the space between content and the border. So we can specify padding of all sides and a single value, or we can set the different values of each side also. So we can also set the top side separately by right side, bottom side, and left side. So this is how we can actually alter the box model by using the CSS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you please describe a scenario like where you might use box sizing, box border box that to you?
Okay, so when we talk about the scenario where we are
Mm.
using box sizing border box, so actually, let's say we are designing a website with a grid layout, and where we want all the boxes to have the same size, regardless of the content, padding, or border thickness. So basically, we plan to give these border a certain width and height, along with padding for some internal spacing and border for visual separation. So in this scenario we can use the box model. So here is I will tell you how. So box sizing border box become incredibly useful in this situation. So by applying these property to our box, we ensure that the specified width and height include the content, padding, and border. So this means we won't have to do the complex calculation to adjust the content size every time we change the padding, or every time we change to the border thickness to maintain the overall size of the box. So basically our box will be neatly aligned to our grid layout because their total size remain constant. So it makes our design clean and consistent also. So this is how this is the scenario where we might use the Potter box
Okay.
property. Yeah.
Okay, so moving ahead, so what are the CSS flag box and grid and like how they are different with each other?
Okay, so basically CSS Flexbox and Grid are both layout models are designed to help the web developer to design the complex layout more easily and with more flexibility than the traditional method. So basically the Flexbox is designed for one dimensional layout, either in a row or in a column. So it's great for aligning item within the container and distributing space item efficiently. So when their size is unknown, and when their size is dynamic. So and when we talk about the CSS grid layout, basically it's a two-dimensional system. So it means that it can handle both rows and columns simultaneously. So it's intended for the it needed when for the larger scale layout where we have to control the design with two-dimensional space. And so when we talk about the difference, I think the main difference lies in a control. So basically Flexbox give us the control over alignment and the spacing for item along a single axis, and the grid provide more precious control over both the rows and column. So basically it allow for the
Okay.
more complex design and effort. So I think this is the main difference. So all I know about the grid and CSS Flexbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So can you, I mean, do you know the example like where this flex box is more appropriate than grid? Uh,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. So I can give an example. So basically, the perfect example of where Flexbox is more appreciated than Grid is, I think, in its building of the responsive navigation bar. So when we build a
Okay.
navigation bar, so I can explain this also. So let's say we have a list of links we want to display horizontally across the top of our web page as a navigation menu. So with Flexbox, we can easily align these links, and we can space them out evenly and make them stack vertically or adjust when the screen sizes changes. So just like if we use a mobile phone. So basically the Flexbox allow us to handle these sizes and alignment with a minimal effort. So basically it ensures that the navigation bar looks good on all the device, automatically adjusting the layout from rows to columns. So I think this is the example where the Flexbox is more appropriate than Grid. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, now moving to the next one.
Yeah.
Like, how do CSS preprocessors enhance the system? We have
CSS.
CSS processors like SAS and less. So,
Okay,
how
so
they
actually I
enhance?
think I'm not a perfect, matlab, I'm not good at CSS preprocessor, but I know a little, uh, so I can explain all I know about. So basically,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
okay,
So yeah, just
so
explain what you.
okay, so basically the CSS processor like SAS or less enhance the CSS development by adding the features that the native CSS does not have. Basically, I think so. So it makes the code, I think, more powerful and flexible and maintainable. So so yeah, this is all I know. So I think this is so. Actually, it can also good because of variables. I think so. Basically they allow us to define more variables for colors and font size and other values. So this means that we can change a value in a one place, so and it's update everywhere. So it makes our code more easier to maintain and understandable. So I think this is the better version. So CSS preprocessor is good and enhance CSS development in this way, I think,
Oh,
actually. Yeah.
okay, okay. So can you discuss a scenario like where using this secret preprocessor could significantly improve workflow maintainability?
CSS preprocessor improve workflow maintainability. I think just say like we are working on a large scale e-commerce website with a complex design. So actually they require the consistent styling across 100 of web page. So this design includes the color scheme, font size, or anything there. It means I mean that if they have a complex styling and this is all. So I think so managing this with the standard CSS alone can be problematic. So especially if
Yeah.
the design changes are frequent. So I think the CSS preprocessor could significantly improve workflow and maintainability when the website is too complex. So yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So can you explain what is the event bubbling and event capturing in JavaScript?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the event bubbling and event capturing are the two ways that JavaScript handle events. So basically, in a web page. So imagine that our website as a family tree. So at the top of the web page itself, and it's branched down with the smaller parts like the sections, paragraph, and buttons and etc. So in event bubbling, when we do something like a click a button, so the event start from button and bubble up to the top of the web page. So each layer or the parents element of the layers get notified of the click as it's move upward. So yeah, this is the event bubbling. And when we talk about the event capturing, so basically event capturing is the opposite of the event bubbling. It's start from the top of the web page and goes down to the target element, so just like the button. So basically it's like the event is capturing each layer as it's moved downward. So basically both these methods help managers how events are handled in a complex web page. So it basically making it easier for us to control the interactions and the behavior of this. So this is how event bubbling and event capturing in JavaScript. So all I know.
So how can you stop an event from bubbling or capturing in JavaScript?
Okay, so basically, in order to stop the event bubbling event from bubbling and capturing in JavaScript, we can use the events stop propagation method. So basically, when the event occur, and we handle it to the function, so it calls a stop propagation. Within that function, it will prevent the event from moving to the next phase. So basically, this is how it helps. So whether it's the capturing phase going down or the bubbling phase going up, stop propagation method tells the event that stop here. It means that it will stop everything. So this is useful when we don't want the parents element to react to an event that happens on a child element, basically. So keeping the events effect localized and controlled. So this is very useful method, stop propagation method, where we can use to stop a event from bubbling and the capturing in JavaScript. So yeah.
Okay, so can you give an example of a practical use case for both this event bubbling and event capturing?
Yeah, yes, I can tell you the example. So basically, when we talk about the event bubbling use case, so let's say imagine we have a web page with a form that includes a several buttons. So basically, instead of setting up click listener for each button, which is I think very hard, so we can set up a single listener on the form itself, form element itself, basically. So when we click the button, the event bubble up to the form, and our listener can handle it. So this way we can actually manage the button clicks more efficiently and more good. It's a good practice also, so especially if the buttons are added or removed dynamically. So, and when we talk about the use case for event capturing, so basically, suppose that we are building a web page with a drop down menu, and inside that menu there are the actually sub menus inside the menu. So when we want to make sure that when we open the sub menu, the main menu stays open, so but clicking outside the menu should close them. So basically, by using the event capturing, we can set up a event listener at higher level, so in document body. So basically that captures the click before they reach the menu, so it allows us to close the menus if it's click outside them. So it ensures the basically smoother user experience, and it's a good practice. So basically, yeah, this is the use case of event capturing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, moving ahead, so what is closure in JS and how does it work? Can you please explain?
Okay, so basically, a closure in JavaScript is like the backpack that a function carries around. So basically, inside this backpack, which is a closure, let's take an example. So it got the variables that the functions might need to use later. So even after the function has finished running where it was first created, it still remember and can use everything that's inside the backpack. So
Okay.
so yeah, I will tell you how it's works. So basically, when we define a function inside the other function, so inner functions get access to the outer functions variable. So basically,
Mm.
this is not just while the outer function is running, but even after it's done. So basically, the inner
Okay.
function hold on to these variables in its backpack, and it makes them accessible whenever we call the inner function in inner function
Okay.
later. So it will accessible, so no matter where we call it from. So basically, this is the powerful feature. Let us use and manage private data in ways that are both creative and secure ways. So this is the closure in JavaScript, and how it's work.
So can closure lead to memory leaks in JavaScript applications, and if it is, then how?
Yeah, basically, closures obviously lead to the memory leaks in JavaScript, but it's not much less concerned with the modern JavaScript engines, I think. So then it is used to be before. So basically, it is a simple way to understand how it's happened. So let's say when we use closure, so basically we create a functions that return a reference to the variable of its outer function. So as long as these inner functions exist, those outer variables are kept in memory because the inner functions might need them later. So this is usually fine, and I think it does not cause any issue. So it's
Okay.
not a it's actually a less of concern with modern JavaScript so engine. So yeah, basically closures lead to memory leaks in JavaScript, and yeah, I tell how. Yeah, so
So can you provide an example like where closures might be useful in web application?
yeah, basically closures in web applications can be incredibly useful for creating private and persistent state without cluttering the global namespace. So let's take an example. Suppose we are developing a quiz app where each question has a timer, and we can use the closures to create a unique timer for each questions, by the way. So by defining a function that set up the timer and return another functions to start or to stop or to reset it, so we create a closure in that situation. So basically this closure remember the timer's state, just like the countdown time. So timer state specified to that question, so even after the setup function has run. So this way each questions get its own private timer and it manage independently of others. So it enhances the functionality and the user experience without exposing or mixing the state data. So closures offer a powerful way to manage stateful logics in a clean and modular fashion. So basically we can see that. So this is the example where closures might be useful in a web application. So I think this is uh, it can be an example. Yeah.
So yeah, moving ahead. So what are the promises in JS, like how they are different from callbacks?
Okay. So basically promises in JavaScript are like a voucher for something that will happen in the future. So sometimes when dealing with the asynchronous task like fetching the data from the server, so basically promises in JavaScript are like the promises in real life. So basically we can say, so when we ask for something to be done, a promise is a special way to handle whether it's done successfully or not. So we can say though this is the definition, I think, the promise in JavaScript. So basically it's not like the callbacks which are like the immediate instructions. So basically promises let us organize our task better, and it makes our code cleaner and easier to follow, especially when we have a lot of tasks. So this is how they differ from the callbacks. So where the tasks are immediate instructions, so which are like the immediate instruction. So this is the difference in the promises in JavaScript. All I know, I think.
So okay, so what are the concept of promise chaining?
Promise chaining. Yeah. Uh, promise chaining. Yeah. Basically, the promise chaining in JavaScript is like the setting up a sequence of steps to be followed one after one another. So where each step waits for the previous one to finish before starting. So this is called the promise chaining. And so we can also we can explain you by giving the example. So let's say the dominoes lined up in a row. So where you push the first one, it knocks the other next. So and so on, so on. So it will happen. So in promise chaining, each promise is like the domino. So let's take an example. So this is the example. Each promise is like the domino, where one task is completed, so it triggers the other next task in the line, in the same line. So this make it easier to manage the situation where we need to do several things in order. So basically, so especially when each step depend on the outcome of the previous one. So it keeps our code clean and avoid the mess of having the callbacks within the callbacks within the callbacks. So it makes our synchronous code easier to read and maintainable. So I think this is the concept of promise chaining in JavaScript.
So how does Async Await syntax different from traditional promises?
Okay, so basically async await in JavaScript is a special syntax which is used for working with promises in a more comfortable way and readable way. So it makes a asynchronous code look good and behave a bit more like a synchronous code one. So basically this is the main functions of async await. So basically when we talk about the difference, so I think the main difference lies in the readability. So and how we write the code. So basically the traditional promises use the dot then method for handling the successful response, and dot catch for errors. So this is and this can get a bit hard with the complex operations. So it lead to the nested dot dens calls and making the code harder to follow. So here comes the async await. So basically it simplifies this and it make it easier code. So by marking a function with async, so we can use await inside it to pose the function in a linear manner and linear fusion until the promise is resolved, so without blocking the entire program. So this is how the async await syntax differ from traditional promises, and it is better approach. So I think so. Yeah, this is the async await and how it's different from
Uh,
traditional. Yeah.
okay, okay. So, can you explain the concept of like hoisting in JavaScript?
Hoisting in JavaScript. Yeah, I actually no hoisting in JavaScript. Basically, the hoisting in JavaScript is like the telling a story where we mention the character's name before introducing them in detail. So I think this is
Okay.
the definition of hoisting in JavaScript. So basically, in JavaScript, before our code start running, the engine hoists, or we can say moves all the declarations of the variable and functions to the top of their scope. So by using the var as variables, and so this means we can refer to the variables and functions before we have written the code that actually define them. So so there is a twist, I think. So only the declarations are hoisted, not the initialization. So if we try to use the variable before it's assigned a value, so it won't have the value we expect. So it will be undefined, I think. So basically for functions, since the entire functions definition is hoisted, so we can call a functions before it's defined our code in our code. So basically it will work just fine. So this is the concept of hoisting in JavaScript, I think so. Yeah.
So, have you worked with the error handling in JavaScript? Like, yes. So, can you explain like what is error handling?
Yeah, actually, I know the error handling in JavaScript. Basically, the error handling in JavaScript is a way to manage the problem that occur while program is running. So this is the called of error handling. So it's like having a safety net to catch errors so they don't cause the problem to stop unexpectedly. So by using the error handling, so basically we can identify when something goes wrong, and we can decide what to do about it. So in order to change or in order to be inefficient. So basically this could means that fixing the issue and asking the different inputs or informing the user that there is a problem. So basically it helps to keep the program running smoothly even when we face the unexpected situation. So it ensure a better experience for I think both for both the developer and the user. So this is the all I know about the error handling in JavaScript.
Okay, so yeah, it's done from my side. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.